Scams in entrepreneurship are getting so much more sophisticated these days, and business owners are losing thousands of pounds because they're trusting the wrong people. Now, I've spent the last 15 plus years sniffing out the bullshit in entrepreneurship, so I know the signs to look out for. So you don't need to fall for some big Ponzi scheme or some elaborate ruse to lose huge amounts of money these days. There are millions of people out there pretending to be someone they're not online, and their only goal is to find someone that they can scam. So this video focuses on the latest bullshit that I've seen trending in February. Now, stay tuned to recognise the signs of bullshit and stay safe out there. So as I said, I've been sniffing at the bullshit for over 15 years in entrepreneurship, and it started very much accidentally. I wasn't always known as a No Bullshit entrepreneur. I didn't always run the No Bullshit agency, but I ran an agency in London since I was a student, and I just saw so much bullshit in my industry because of the complexities of web design and graphic design and digital marketing, and so many people didn't know anything about these industries. Nothing compared to what it's like nowadays. We didn't have all these YouTube tutorials, we didn't have the likes of Canva and all these things that make things so much easier. Web design was a complicated place. And so web design agencies loved to rip off their clients. And so we had so many people ring us up and would just say, I've just been ripped off by my agency, can you help? That was probably the most common line I heard when I picked up the phone to a potential client. And so over the years, so many people really appreciated my candid responses and the just desire to help people because I wanted to do the right thing. And so they all said to me, I really like you because you're no bullshit. And this is kind of what happened. And then I became the no bullshit person. I was working in an office in WeWork, and before COVID, WeWork was a different place. It was really community-led. Everyone spoke to each other. I have friends that have even come to my wedding that I met in WeWork. We were super close, and I still have tons of clients from the WeWork days. And I used to be known as, oh, speak to Sabrina, she's no bullshit. I would be known as the no bullshit person inside the office that could help out with different things. And I would just help other people for free, just so that they wouldn't get scammed by other people. So we'd even see scamming agencies within WeWork. We'd have people outsourcing work to us while they're pretending that they run multinational agencies all around the world, having all these high profile clients, but it was just one man in an office, kind of outsourcing to everyone he could, charging them X amount of money and then pretending that we were all part of his team. I did not like that. I believe in transparency. And so back in 2019, we decided to get together, have a big brainstorming session within our agency and fully rebrand as the No Bullshit agency. And after that, I took to LinkedIn, that was my platform of my choice, to kind of vocalize my experiences within entrepreneurship and some of the biggest scams that I'd seen in the web design agency world. And after a couple of years, I became known as the No Bullshit entrepreneur because I was really vocal about how much I hated the scammers, the liars, the thieves out there, the people who prey on other people. And I felt it was my duty to show up and help people as much as possible, give out the real information and just stop people getting scammed. So 2024 was a big year for bullshit. I think that AI had become such a big staple in content creation that it just led people to fake a lot of things. The whole fake it till you make it was no longer this kind of little thing that maybe is about confidence and trying to be the person you want to be, but it literally meant fake everything about yourself and what you're doing. And the bullshit was rife on social media, especially LinkedIn, which was supposed to be a professional platform. So at the end of 2024, I decided to compile this carousel called Bullshit of the Year for 2024. It basically captured 15 things that I considered were the most bullshit things that I'd seen in 2024 that somehow kicked off, and actually lots of people lost money to these people. I posted this 8 p.m. on New Year's Eve before I decided to go out, and I thought no one's going to actually look at this at all, and it would just be a dud, but I wanted to do it. It was a kind of cathartic exercise for me, and somehow that post went mega viral, which shows you shouldn't follow all the formulas. You don't know what's going to kick off. And it didn't get mega viral in the way that, you know, useless stuff, but actually so many people wrote to me saying, thank you so much. You've helped save me so much money, because I was about to trust these people and I actually decided to do due diligence instead and found that they weren't legit. So I helped save loads of people's money, which was fantastic. I helped people wake up to some of the bullshit that's out there. And yeah, it helped me make a name for myself as the No Bullshit entrepreneur. And the important thing is that I never name names. So I might talk about a specific person, but I never say who they are. I just describe the bullshit that they're doing, the lies that they're peddling, and how you could get hurt if you trust that person. So it's not about bringing a person down, it's about highlighting the bad behavior and helping protect other people from falling for this bullshit. So after the popularity of the bullshit of the year, there was so many people contacting me about it, and there was just so much bullshit online that I ended up turning this into a bullshit of the week series. Every single Sunday, I'd post on LinkedIn with my bullshit of the week, and it'd be my most popular post by far. People loved it. People lived for it. They would say it's refreshing, kind of real post on a sea full of crap that's on LinkedIn. And I did this for several months, but then it started to get really depressing because I realized how much bullshit was out there. I was shocked at how many people would be peddling lies and pretending to be running a legitimate business when all they wanted to do was scam people. And I had this bullshit submission form, just a Google form where other people could submit the bullshit post that they didn't like, and they wanted other people to find out and me to expose these people. And my submissions were filled. It was so overwhelming to go through how much bullshit was out there. And it just made me feel really kind of depressed. So much so that by April, I had to take a break. I actually had to take a month off because I was overwhelmed and just succumbed to the bullshit. And I was living in this world where everyone was lying and everyone was fake. And it just became too much for me. So after I took a month off, I came back again and did the bullshit of the week again. But then I got down again because I was like, how are so many people able to get away with this and scam so many people out there? Like, surely people weren't that gullible. But the thing is, in a world where we are vulnerable, and if other people are acting like they are also vulnerable, why wouldn't you trust them? They have millions of followers. And this is why the whole fake it till you make it thing does work, sadly. They would buy their followers, they'd buy their engagement, and you know, all these titles and fake portfolios and all these shiny things out there. And now they are literally can fake everything. And why wouldn't you trust them? And so that's what's tough. And that's why I kind of keep going with this, because I know that I will be able to help people. But I decided to strip it back for my own sake and mental health, and did bullshit of the month. And so I found that that's a good cadence. And essentially this is what this is. And lots of people have been loving my series on LinkedIn. And now this is my video version of bullshit of the month. So this month I've picked 5 things that have been showing up in my feed, or things that I've personally experienced. So this is my bullshit of the month without actually other people kind of submitting things. It's just things I've noticed from within my network. So I want to start off with this one because I know that AI is out there. I know that everyone uses it, but I am just shocked as to how unhuman everyone has gotten, and how now people are treating sales or any sort of process of their business as just a thing to do that you can automate. And they're totally forgetting the most powerful thing about business and what actually makes a business successful, and that's relationships. And if you want to know more about that, check out my video I did last week on about how relationships are the key to business success. So essentially, I got some emails over this month asking me to come on podcasts, asking me to discuss a business proposition, you know, all these different things. And so I'll take the podcast one because it was like, oh, I'd love for you to be a guest on my podcast. And one of my goals this month, or this year really, is to go back on more podcasts as a guest rather than running my own. And so I was like, okay, great, let me ask you a few questions. And the responses I got were a little odd because they didn't know a lot of information, and they're like, I don't have that information right now. And I'm like, well, you don't know how big your audience is, and you don't know which channels you're going to be doing it on, and you don't know what format you're going to be podcasting, and whether it's remote or virtual. That seems very odd. So I started to probe a little bit more, and they just couldn't answer real questions. So I said, are you a real human or are you AI? Because I have concerns if you're talking to me as an AI and you haven't declared that you're an AI, and they just said, thank you for your concerns, I have noted them. And I'm like, what? And so I realised I was talking to AI. And look, I get it. Automation speeds things up. You can do things much quicker. And so they've got AI doing outreach to find podcast guests. But if you're going to be a guest on a podcast, you're going to be having a human conversation. So surely you'd want to know who that person is and build up a relationship beforehand. It's only better for your podcast. So people are taking shortcuts, but they're going to get worse results later. I don't have a problem with people using AI agents, but then just declare it. At the beginning of your initial outreach, be like, hi, my name's Fiona and I'm an AI agent. I'm helping so-and-so do their outreach today. Like, that's absolutely fine. So I don't mind automation. Automation is fine, but pretending you're human isn't. My biggest issue is, if your relationship with anyone starts with deception, how are you ever going to build trust? So I mentioned some of the giveaways, but here are the main things that I realised I wasn't talking to a human. First of all, they'd scraped my data off LinkedIn. So I used to use a witch emoji before my name on LinkedIn. Sabrina, the WordPress witch, was what I was known for. And so I used to have that before my name. And so when people scrape the data, it always has that emoji in it. Humans aren't going to do that. Annoying thing is, I just updated my profile on LinkedIn and they've stopped me using that emoji. LinkedIn, please bring that back because it really, really helps. The second thing is, they replied to my email at 6 a.m. on a Saturday. I was like, who is working during this time? Now, what I noticed then was that they were replying basically in exactly an hour after I'd sent an email. And you're gonna be thinking, what am I doing sending emails at 5 a.m. on a Saturday? I was on the way to the airport and, a very early morning flight, and that's when I catch up with stuff. So I sent it at ridiculous time. And so I did not expect an email back. So that immediately was a red flag. Then the third thing was that they couldn't answer specific questions that seemed very, very easy to obtain the answer for. And then the absolute key thing was, in the responses I looked at, they actually used the word, that information is not in my system. So they'd basically just said that they'd been programmed with a number of data and that information was no longer in their system. Big giveaway. So you'd think that multiple people wanting to buy my agency is a great thing. So many agency owners, all they care about is growth, growth, growth until they sell. So they want a buyer, and this should be the dream. I've had endless, I can't even remember how many people have now messaged me saying they want to buy my agency. And the email would simply say, offer to purchase Nob's agency. And I'm like, okay, let me look at this first and see what's going on. Now, I've got no interest in selling because I'm actually proud to run this lifestyle business, which is apparently really offensive, but I don't want to scale and grow. And you should know this by, if you look at my channel and look at the Small Teams Big Profit series, I'm all about that. I'm all about having the most profitable business, but one that's less stressful and that one that I can manage and adapt to my lifestyle. But I was interested because I'm thinking, why are so many people wanting to buy my agency? Why am I suddenly on all these people's radars? Now, I'd just start back with, I'd love to know more information about your firm and, who you are, what sort of businesses you acquire, and I'd love for you to tell me some more information. And then all reply with the exact same message, basically like, jump on a call, which is also what the AI agent did previously, who wanted to book me in for a podcast. They would say, I don't have that information, but let's talk about it on a call. And it's like, these people have been programmed to just put people on calls. And no matter how many questions I ask, they'd basically respond with the same message and say, please just book in a call. As I realised I was getting the exact same template back from every single one of these companies, different companies with different names who apparently wanted to buy my business, it became very fishy and pretty obvious by that point. So first of all, the email addresses were all something completely random. And, they'd be claiming that they represent a big firm, but actually when you look up their email address, it's a random domain. So I would always look up that domain and see what's on there and see who it's registered to, and it doesn't add up. There was no email signature, no details about the company. You'd look up the person's name and there were nowhere to be found, no LinkedIn profile, no Google presence, nothing. And I think the biggest key one, again with the same with the AI agents, is that they're all vague as hell. Like, they don't answer specific questions. Now, if it was a legitimate opportunity, they'd be answering your questions and asking you a lot of questions. So no one even asked for numbers about the company. So they are definitely not interested in my business. They're just trying to tap into my ego. Now, I've never actually got onto one of these calls, but I'm not about to find out what happens on them. But if you're tempted, just think about this. Real business acquisitions start with due diligence, not a Calendly link. So these next lot are basically how the bullshit of the week, of the month, of the year series kind of started, which is the bullshit behavior we see online. And at the moment, there is so much engagement farming going on. This is mainly LinkedIn I'm talking about, because this is the professional network that I choose to use. It's where I get the most business from, and it's what generally works for most entrepreneurs. Now, LinkedIn is supposed to be a place where you put your thought leadership, you show things about your business, and you educate people, you have genuine, interesting conversations. Over the last month, I've seen an overwhelming number of memes, puzzles, like ridiculous GIFs and pointless, like quirky posts that are just purely done for engagement. It feels like Facebook circa 2000. And I believe that this has all come about because of the new LinkedIn algorithm update. Now, I was just posting something about 360 Brew, which is the new LinkedIn algorithm update, and how it's changed the way it ranks posts. And people are panicking. It's because engagement pods are no longer working like they used to. So now they're looking for other dirty tactics to try and get their engagement up. Now look, I love a bit of fun. I'm definitely not a corporate type, but I also believe you should be having conversations that you want to have with your prospects. Now, fine if you want to use it as a social media network, a bit fun, but LinkedIn usually isn't the place to do that. Now, I am definitely not, this should be on Facebook, LinkedIn police type of person, but I am definitely of the type that wants to have real conversations, and I sit there and have conversations about TV, film, football, like, you know, relationships. I do that on LinkedIn. I talk about those things because those are the sort of things I also talk about with my clients. Now, I'm not going to sit down with a client in a meeting face to face and say, where would you rather sit on a plane in front of between these people? No, I'm not going to do that. That's ridiculous. But I do often meet up with a client and say, oh, did you see the game last night? And we start talking about football. Fine. That's a normal sort of conversation. So anything that you would normally say in real life to a client can be said on LinkedIn. That's kind of my motto. So I'm definitely not the whole Facebook/LinkedIn police kind of person. But I do think that all the engagement bait and these engagement farming things are bullshit. Because sure, you'll get engagement, your post might go viral, you'll get loads of people commenting on your post, and you might even gain a few followers. But are those people your target audience? More often than not, when you go viral, it's because you've attracted too many people. You've attracted the wrong people, and suddenly you have tons of people looking at your profile. So when you actually start to post your real stuff, things about work so you can try and win business, only a tiny proportion of your actual target audience are going to see it, and all these irrelevant people are going to see it instead. And so what you've done, you've actually damaged your reach to the people you actually want to reach. So I don't really know what to think about this next one, because I hate cold emails. I just don't do it. As I said, I believe in building up relationships. Yes, it's slower, but I do believe it's more effective and the right way to do business. Now, I think you do need to have some interesting tactics to be able to get the attention of people when you're cold emailing. But where do you draw the line? What's ethical and what's not? Because some of the stuff that people have been sharing this month have been shocking. Now, I've had things before, like, send me a picture with my face on Messi's shirt at the Champions League final, or like I've had personalised videos be sent to me, or I've had graphics that have been designed just for me. They're interesting. They can capture your attention. But what about the kind of ones that are bordering on shady? Get people's attention? They certainly do, but in the wrong way. Now, when I read my email, I was like, what? Someone created an OnlyFans account of me? Because this has happened before, not OnlyFans, but people have been creating fake accounts of myself. So I was panicking, and it just kind of made me go, oh my God. And then I realized it was just a bullshit sales tactic, and I got annoyed. I don't trust that person. I'm not going to do business with that person. I got angry because of it. So again, it's that level of distrust. I'm immediately not going to trust this person. And if we have to sink to this level to grab people's attention, then maybe we're just not doing business in the right way. So we're back to a classic, the old plagiarism type of thing, where people don't know what to say, and so they're just copying other people. And so I've seen quite a few posts this month basically saying that people are just copying other people's ideas, and they're not even like hiding it. They're just using the exact same words verbatim, and the posts seem to be doing quite well. That doesn't seem anything new. But what was new is that people were highlighting that actually these people weren't actually copying each other's posts. What happened is that they are all in the same engagement pod, and they've all bought the same creators' template packs. They're viral template packs, in fact. And all they've done is just copied the exact hooks and the exact templates and haven't even bothered to change the words to their own. So what you've got is multiple people posting the exact same post, and other people are just looking at it going, is that because they're in the same engagement pod? Then the same audience are going to see it because they're all liking each other's posts. And so it doesn't make any sense. And this is exactly why so many people are complaining about LinkedIn and how it's gone downhill, because people are just experiencing the same AI slop, the same templates, the same bullshit kind of engagement tactics, and people are bored. And like I said, the algorithms change, the pods don't work as well anymore, so they're upping their bullshit game. But what people don't realise is so many of these top creators, the ones who kind of did super well from the outside with the engagement pods, they're now gone back to normal 9-to-5 jobs because they have no money. They've built up so many followers, but they've got zero income from their business. It's all just smoke and mirrors. And now, personally, I'd rather have a really successful lifestyle business, have a luxury life that I really enjoy with lots of freedom and spare time to spend with the people I love, than have millions of followers online and have to fake my entire life. So this is February's bullshit of the month. And remember, this is just what's on my feed. So I'd love to hear from you what's on your feed. What are you seeing every day that's bullshit? What should I be investigating? Please comment below on what I should be looking at. Or if you're not sure if anything's legit or not, please do get in touch. So what's been the biggest piece of bullshit that you've seen this month? Please do like and subscribe so you can also catch up with next month's bullshit of the month.